GM, everyone. Welcome to the 29th edition of the Node Operator Community Call. We got a cool agenda today. We got the Lido ValSet updates, a regular topic with a new voice. The Iryna is going to take that segment from now on. We have the second edition of the stVaults testnet progress. We have a cool guest. We have Solius from Grandine talking about Grandine. That's a consensus layer client, so that's a really cool guest we have. And you were worried we weren't going to see Sasha this month, but we are. She's going to update us about the recently introduced community stakers identification framework. But first, I want to ask Iryna if she's ready, and if so, please take it away.
Yeah, hello. Happy to start. Let me share my screen. Okay, you should see it now. So, hello everyone. My name is Iryna. So, I'm contributing to the marketing workstream, and actually today I'm taking the torch from Sasha with Validator set updates. Who did it for a year, but you will hear from her later this code during the CSM segment. So, actually, let's go and dive what was last month. So let's start from the CSM parameter update. So as you may remember, Sasha updated last time that during the latest snapshot vote, LTO token holders supported increasing CSM stake share limit and decreasing key removal charge. So actually the latest one parameter was changed on the mainnet during recent on-chain vote. So it goes down from 0.05 to 0.02 is per key, and actually this is safety parameter which defines the charge for node operators to remove keys from the queue, and it's pretty important as soon as it prevents malicious actors from flooding the queue with their keys. So actually why it was changed due to two major reasons. So firstly, how this parameter is defined, you may see on the formula at the bottom of the slide. So it depends on Ethereum gas price, and this one goes down since the moment it was introduced. And the second one is because team is cooking CSM version 2, so this one need to be changed. The next one is the fact that decentralized validator vault APR is now quantifiable and available in the Lido interface. So actually DVV was implemented by Melo, and it was designed to boost the number of validators active in simple DVT modules. So those who staked through Melo, their stake goes to simple DVT module in Lido. So now takers can see APR and its breakdown in Lido interface. So actually there's two places where they can do this. So the first one is usual staking widget, and the second one is a pretty cool staked ETH in DeFi page on the Lido website. So if you don't know one, I highly recommend you to check this one, because here you can find a selection of ways to use your staked ETH across different DeFi protocols, and you can check different options: lending, borrowing, leverage, staking, restaking, everything. So this is a nice section, so click it out and see what your staked ETH can. The next one is regarding APM committees. So for those who may missed, or for those who may heard, Gabriela presented auxiliary proposal mechanisms framework a few calls ago. I think it was in April. So this is a framework that helps Slido to explore and adopt new tools related to block creation on Ethereum. So actually, how this will managed through the committee. So this committee, as you may see on the right, will comprised of 6 voting members. So from left to right, in the first row is Drew from Commit Boost, Frederick, he's a security expert, Gabriela and Ivan, they're contributors to node operator mechanisms and tech Workstreams, Sebastian representing Kiel, one of Lido node operators, and Vishal representing Horus 1 as well, one of Lido node operators. One more participant, he will abstain from voting, he will be more consulting one. So this is Justin from Ethereum Foundation. And the committee will comment ad hoc and update on all their decisions on the forum, so keep eye on it. Next one is Lido Community Staking Tribes Initiative welcomes a new participant. So, to those who may have missed or don't know, this initiative was launched last year to transform employees and contributors to different Web3 projects into real stakers through empowering them to run validators through the CSM module. So, this last month, Wonderland joined this group, and their team members will join Validator set and will be equipped with this beautiful depth nodes hardware. So in case you're also interested in something like this, get in touch with Sam and Andy. You may see their Twitter accounts and just text them and they will bring you from there. Next one. Vanum report has been released, so actually last month, and from this month it's featuring first CSM insights. So actually it's data on basic stats, client diversity, and infrastructure, as well as some usual metrics that has been presented earlier. And if you would like to get more insights, you might check the blog, so Lido blog, and there's a brilliant article from non-contributors, so check it out where it's explained everything in details. And moving to one that was highly discussed in the community last month, it's compromised Horus 1 Oracle incident. So actually on my 10th, the Oracle address which was operated by Horus 1 was compromised, and 1.5 almost is drained from its balance as well. Another Oracle report delays were observed that day. So Lido contributors with Horus 1 members bring immediate mitigation steps, including that all oracles were checked, protocol software integrity was checked, as well as on-chain vote to rotate Horus 1 oracle key was initiated. So just to confirm what was said earlier on our socials, that the protocol remains secure and fully operational. There were no impact to stakers due to the robust design systems of the Oracle. So it utilized 5 out of 9 quorum model. And there are a couple of more steps to come with a full post-mortem to be published after investigation is concluded. So as well, keep your eyes on the forum. And the last one, but not least, it's Takers Guild event, which will be taking place, I think it's less than 2 weeks in Cannes. So actually, Lido contributors are organizing a special event to celebrate community stakers, showcase the latest advancements in the community staking model, and actually there are lots of them. So in case you will be in Cannes during ECC, and joining ECC, make sure to register for this event. So tickets are free, but space is limited. So make sure to register and use the QR code to go to the Luma page. For fast registration, and use the invite code you can see on the screen now to be sure that your registration is approved. And that's all from my side. So actually, back to you, Sven.
Thank you, Iryna. Free tickets in Cannes. It doesn't get a lot better than that, I think. I just learned Cannes is one of the most expensive places in Europe, so it's a cool thing, and this is one of the coolest events I know. I'll be missing it personally, so fortunately. But thank you for that. Up next, we have stVaults. Yuri, if you're ready, please take it away.
Yeah, I'm ready. So tell me if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, then I'll start. Hello there, my name is Yuri and I'm a developer behind the Lido V3 team. So today I'm gonna tell you about latest things that happened to Lido V3 testnets. So first things first. On Wednesday, 25th of June, we are launching the new Lido V3 testnet 2. This is our next major step toward Lido mainnet release. And let me be clear, this is a totally new version. This is not an upgrade, and this is not any patch. This is a brand new suite of contracts freshly deployed to Hoodie Testnet with entirely new addresses and fully rebuilt for new architecture. So you might wonder, why new contracts instead of upgrade? The truth is that the upgrade for our architecture was so big that it led to major changes to the on-chain state, and it was just impossible for us to upgrade the contracts because it will be an extra complexity. So the first start was a cleaner and more reliable approach here. So what is those changes under the hood I'm talking about? First of all, the staking vault contract itself now acts as a small and lean withdrawable credential contract that actually doesn't have any extra logic that used to be in Testnet 1. We try to leave it as simple as possible to avoid any risks and flatten the attack surface. But the core logic now moved to the Vault Hub contract that actually acts as an orchestrator for the staking vaults. It enforces locks, it calculates accounting and mints, burns stETH, and charges Lido fees. So yes, fees and redemptions and slashing reserve are the new thing that we brought to the new testnet. So you could feel the taste of a mainnet that will come. So if you are interested in nuts and bolts, I highly recommend you to visit the technical design architecture document following this link or QR code, so you can see what exact changes we made and why we made those changes. Everything is shown there. So I want to highlight that the audits of the Lido v3 started this week, and the testnet 2 code is actually the code that is that has ongoing audits on it. And we have such teams like Certora for formal verification for both on-chain and off-chain audit for Lido v3. We have consensus diligence with the focus of on-chain audit. They will stress test our contracts with fuzzing and invariant checks. We have composable security for off-chain side. They are already familiar with our Oracle, and they will try to break it again in new version. And also we have Mixed Bytes, who will dive deep into the core, review governance logic, accounting math, and all the protocol architecture. So this layered approach for audits allows us to ensure every attack vector and edge case gets attention. We expect roughly 2 months of intensive audits. This supposedly give us time to fix all the findings and whatnot. So once again, on next Wednesday, 25th of June, we are releasing the testnet 2, which is a separate testnet, which is not connected to the first one. And the same day, Web UI will switch to the testnet contracts, and we will release a staking vault CLI tool that also will work with testnet contracts. But fear not, testnet 1 CLI tool, testnet 1 compatible CLI tool will be available under the testnet 1 branch. So if you took a participant, if you worked with testnet 1, what do you have to do? Please right now exit your current validators and withdraw your ETH from the testnet 1, so you will be able to recreate the test vaults on the testnet 2 and spawn new validators. Actually, that's it from my side. Thank you for letting me describe it here. Back to you, Sven.
Thanks, Yuri. Oh, you guys are fast.
Sorry for that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's a problem. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Yeah, we got a POAP coming up, so so please do. In the meantime, got Solius from Grandine joining us, so that's really cool. So Grandine is a consensus layer client. It's been live for quite a while now already. They open sourced it, I think, last year. But exciting news recently, a few days ago, they received a grant from the Lido Lego Grants program to help support their work. I think we've known each other for quite a while now, Solius. Solius is always at these events, basically making case for consensus layer diversity, client diversity. So yeah, we can only applaud that. So Solius, if you're ready, please take it away and share your screen.
Yeah, hello everyone. Let me share screen. Do you see it?
Yeah, this looks great.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so yeah, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be invited to Lido Node Operator Community event, and yeah, I see that presentation so far were quick. so sorry, so likely I'll be quick too. And if you have any question during the presentation, yeah, you can interrupt me and we can discuss it. Okay, so the presentation is called Boosting Ethereum Consensus Client Diversity with Grandine. And I'm Saulis Grigaitis from Grandine team. Okay, so here we will just repeat what we already know is that client diversity matters. And the key thing is that Ethereum relies on multiple clients to stay resilient. So essentially, if we want a resilient network, Ethereum network, it's the main thing that we can do is to have a really good client diversity. And at the moment, at least on the consensus client side, we likely don't have a super majority client, which is very good. And likely on EL side also there is no super majority client, which is very good because this means that sorry, because this means that a single bug in the supermajority client cannot essentially break the chain and make a disaster. So this part, the very worst case scenario, likely solved. However, we still have a quite big issue with the fact that some of the clients are taking more than 1/3 of the share, and this means that a bug in that client may disrupt finality or have some other impacts on the network. And yeah, obviously the Ethereum went with this multi-client approach, which so far, as we see, and well, Ethereum didn't have a very bad incident. The mainnet didn't have a very bad incident for a very long time, and that, at least in my belief, that is mainly because there is this client diversity, which is really a great thing, as I mentioned. And yeah, and the last thing is that if we see the Lido node operators, we really see quite good diversity. So I'm really happy that that Lido community really cares about diversity, and it's not the situation where the majority of the node operators are running sorry, the same client. So we are on quite good track. Yeah, and for the Grandine history, the development, as when told it, the development is already for quite a few years, and we started development in 2019, and then in 2021 we released the first binary. And after the release, we saw that there is some traction and people are interested in the client because our main focus was really the performance thing, and there is always some users that are really interested in the performance, and we saw that from the very first binary release. Sorry, and in 24, we open sourced the client, and then we got a few audits completed, and we got integrated into the EF's fuzzing infrastructure. And so far, essentially, no audits and no fuzzing and no other tooling found anything serious. So far, there was some very minor stuff that doesn't affect the client performance or reliability. But yeah, we fixed those small things. So overall, we got a really solid client, and so far we didn't do any kind of targeted marketing or so. And organically, we have around a couple or so percentages of the Validator share. So that's a quick history. So sorry, the reasons why you should consider Grandine. So one thing is that it's quite modern consensus client written in Rust. So we have less, and the entire code base is smaller, and we have a less of technical depth in the code base because the client started later in the process in the development of the beacon chain clients, and we just didn't have a lot of we don't have that much of changes in the code base as the other clients. So obviously the technical depth is better than at least some of the clients. Then the client from the beginning was optimized for the best performance, and at the beginning we mostly optimized it for the fast state transition function. So the block importing was the fastest among the clients, as it was discovered by Megalab's performance testing comparison. And another interesting thing that we highly optimize the client to be used via beacon beacon API, and especially for the end clients such as Vouch. And this means that on average, of course, it's not always, because in such a distributed network, it's not possible to have to always get a perfect result. But on average, we observe that our client is doing better both in terms of the response times, as for example, like beacon block production time. So we see that on average we are very competitive with other clients, and often we outperform if we look at the metrics of Vouch. Okay, so then yeah, the other interesting aspect that the whole client is built on the three states from the very beginning. So some other clients like Lighthouse, they moved to this approach after their entire client was built and used for several years. So we have this design, which we believe is the right design, because eventually the beacon state became really large, which is in SSD, it's a few hundred of megabytes, and now we have over than 1 million of validators. So it's a much bigger success than I think everyone thought for the beacon chain. Okay, that's the station, and the three states is a very good sorry, very good approach, because it allows to store a lot of states in memory, and especially this helps when the network is not in the best shape, and you need to access different states on fly without the delay, or with minimal delay. And of course, we are focused on security, performance, and maintainability. And yet, this is an open source project that we actively develop, and we got some some external contributors. So yeah, check the GitHub repository for that. Okay, so as Sven already introduced, we just received the Lido Lego grant, which essentially the goal of the grant is to help boost the diversity of consensus layer clients, because the goal is really so now we see that some of the clients are taking more than 1/3 of the share, and the bug in that client would disrupt the finality. And yeah, the goal would be to over like a half or a year to get a Grandine share of the validator set, to increase the share to maybe 5 or 10%. And this would be really a solution to this issue we have, because I mean, the clients that are running for more than 1/3 of the share, at least based on the data that is available, and the data is not very reliable, but at least it's something to think about. Sorry, it's not that huge issue that cannot be solved. I mean, we just need to shave off a few percent of these most popular clients, and then we would be able to switch to the mode where no client has more than 1/3 of the share, and that's the real desire that we have, and hopefully this grant will help to achieve that. So the exact steps that we are thinking now that could help to achieve that is essentially working directly with node operators to support them and to ease the migration to the Grandine. And I think yep, if some operators are in this call, or you know some operators that would be interested to increase the client diversity, then let us know. It's very easy now, because most of the operators are running quite sophisticated setups that relies on the beacon API, and Grandine implements the beacon API. So you just need, especially if you are using something like Vouch, you just need to add Grandine to the mix of your beacon nodes, and that's all. So very easy step, and a lot of benefit to the network. Then the good thing that as we are focusing now on including the market share, we are quite open to implement some specific stuff that hopefully would be helpful for the future deployments. But for example, if you have some specific needs for the client, which likely has potential to be a benefit for the rest of the network, we would be open to implement your requests. So this is something that it's not very easy to get with the other clients, especially the most popular clients, as they are more focused on the work that they already have. Then obviously the onboarding documentation and the community support. Then some additional testing, interoperability testing between the other clients and other validator clients and so on. So we would like to increase the compatibility with the other parts of the ecosystem, even though now we are quite compatible with the rest of the ecosystem, and obviously various other client diversity initiatives here. Okay, so yeah, and the last content that may be interested to some of you, but not directly interested to node operators, that we are doing multiple. We have a lot of research going on And one thing is that we are building a REST KZG library, which is a high performance KZG library for block scaling, which is at least in some aspects faster than the alternative KZG libraries, and the speed here directly contributes to things like, for example, blob throughput. So this is something that that I think gives value to the ecosystem. And yeah, if you're interested in these in such projects, you can check it. And another interesting project that we are working on is a beacon chain standardification project, which essentially allows to have proofs for beacon chain state transition function. And so far, we achieved proving for a smaller Pectra DevNet state that consists of 100K of validators. However, the mainnet state transition function proving is still tricky for the currently available ZKVMs, which is SP1 and Resi0. Sorry, these two of ZKVMs are kind of most mature and at least in the ecosystem recognized as the most production ready ZKVMs. So, but we are pushing this, and ZKVMs are getting faster and faster, like every month, I would say. So I think we are not very far away from beacon chain state transition function proving, which would enable some new interesting products in the staking ecosystem. So that's all. It was a quick presentation. If somebody has some questions, I'm happy to answer it.
Yeah, there's some questions in the chat. I can read them out in a minute, but I wanted to ask you about the tree states because you did mention them. So let's get into it detail right away. It's actually pretty cool, isn't it? These tree states. Now, I'm not a coder. I'm not into the protocol that much, but how do the tree states that you've implemented, how does that differ from how other clients do it?
Yeah, so one thing that some of the clients even didn't have this approach. So the three states, I can maybe do a very quick intro that the key idea is that the state takes a lot of memory now. So I mean, even if in compressed mode in SSD format on the mainnet, it's few hundred megabytes. So in expanded form on the runtime, it's something like a gigabytes, you know. So and for every slot, you have a state. Okay. The problem is that if you have if the network is running really well and there is no any side forks or whatever, then it's unlikely that you need a lot of these states in memory because you just need just a few states and it's not a problem. However, for a bit, you cannot you cannot optimize the client for the very healthy network. You need to optimize the client to run not well in a very healthy network like the mainnet, like the Ethereum mainnet, but at the same time, you need to be prepared for the worst case scenario. For example, for the Holesky incident, where I think most of the clients had serious issues because most of them were not prepared for such a deep non-finality and deep forks and so on. So one of the ways to solve it or partially solve it is to use a tree of states. And the key idea is that the states do not change that much from slot to slot. Okay, so this gives you a good idea that maybe it's possible to only store the difference between the div between the states, right? So, and in this case, you save a huge amount of memory and you can solve a huge amount of memory issues essentially. You just have you can think that you have a kind of a main state, and then you have diffs from that state in the memory. And the exact implementations of this, I think it differs from client to client, but the concept is more or less the same. So you just use so-called structural sharing, where the idea is that every data that repeats across the states, it is not actually doubled in the memory. It's not copied in the memory. Instead, the reference to to the single point is used. So yeah, so this is how it's achieved. Essentially, it just avoids a copying memory. That's all.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. Like, is this something that other clients could adopt as well, or does that only work when you design it from scratch in this way, like you did?
So the other clients, I think now a lot of clients has this approach, really. Maybe not all, I don't know, because when we build a client, we tend to not look too much at the other clients because this kind of conflicts with the diversity thing, and diversity thing essentially says that if you want to make a diverse ecosystem of clients, so when you build a client, you do not want to look at the other client, because once you look at the other client, it will become kind of you will copy those ideas, even if even unintentionally, you know. So I think this is the approach that other clients are taking, and they just have their own implementation of essentially of the same concept of the same thing.
That's really interesting. Take
Yeah.
that makes total sense actually. I got a question from Dima here. So for real life node operators, for example, home stakers, would they be able to see a difference in performance on a DApp node or some other home staking device?
Yeah, so the home staking is quite interesting thing. So the client that we are building, we always look for the optimizations, and essentially it means that the client is helpful for both local node operators and like home stakers, and also for some other for larger staking operators. I mean, as long as you have a client that is a high performance client, it works both for the home stakers and for the professional operators that are running a large amount per machine and so on. So this is one thing. The another thing is quite interesting, or the idea, let's say. So the home staking. I don't know. Maybe this is just a rumor, but seems that the home staking is not getting let's say more popular these days. So so I don't think that is a great thing, but that's the situation, and I would say we don't particularly optimize for the home stakers. I mean, there is kind of no exact intention to optimize for home stakers. However, as we are focusing on efficiency and the performance, there is a benefit both for the home stakers and the node operators. So this is one thing. The another thing what you also need to think that maybe or never mind. That's I hope that this answered your question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me like super quickly jump in because
Yeah.
I'm a first of all Dimitri from CSM here. Yeah, hello. I'm a big fan of client diversity and decentralization, and I was always trying to run the most like the least represented client
Yeah.
in the network. And that's how I got into our ETH or REF or the client execution layer client developed by Paradigm.
Yeah.
And apparently they were saying basically the same things as you do. So they were saying that, hey, we are super optimized in terms of performance, yada, yada, yada. However,
Yeah.
it turned out at the early stages of our ETH, which is not the case now, but at the early stages, it turned out that our ETH was performing like not great at all on a home staking hardware. Even though my DApp node is the latest DApp node, it has a pretty decent CPU, 32 gigs of RAM, and pretty fast SSD. Still, our ETH was not performing great, even though it was claimed that it was super optimized. And by the way, it's also written in Rust. So
Yeah.
my question is, have you guys tested your client on a home grade machine? And should I even consider trying to switch from my beloved Lodestar to this brand new super optimized client that you are telling us today?
Yeah. So we are running a large amount of validators on a very large computers that we have in the office. So it's like a 12 years old CPUs with 4 cores or something like that, and 8 GB of RAM. So we are really confident that that the client runs on the low resource machines or so. However, given that, I mean, I just wanted to say that that we particularly do not optimize for the like a very a very unpowerful machines, for example, a Raspberry Pi or so. We actually did that. We did run the client on Raspberry Pi back then, and it was maybe 4 GB machine or so, and it was running on the mainnet. However, at some point we figured out that it's enough to run on like a 12 years old CPU and 8 GB of RAM, and likely it represents the minimal, let's say, minimal hardware that some home staker would do. So yeah. So the answer is yes. We are doing really well on the low resource machine. Is one thing. Another thing, the ref case is completely different from our case. So ref was developed. I mean, we are developing since 2019, and this is we just didn't do a lot of marketing, and we just open sourced last year or so. But the client itself is rock solid, and it's optimized for many years. And the ref is actually much newer client, and obviously they will need to go, for another few years to nail the client and to get a really good performance of that. So I think, yeah, the key difference and maybe the key message is that if you want to have a really great client that works, including on a low resource devices, this is not something that you can do in a couple of years. It takes many years, and we are doing that since 2019. So yeah, I really suggest you to try it. And if you see that there is some issue or some underperformance, which I doubt, but if you see it on the lower grade devices, then let us know. We will be happy to try to check it and to make sure that it works on the lower on some specific hardware where you see the issue. But as I said, we are running really a lot of testnet validators for for the testnets on the very old hardware.
Got you. Thank you so much. I'll definitely give it a try sometime soon.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dima. Let's see. Solis, you said something about home staking not being as popular as
Oh yeah.
and that blew up the internal chat here. So I'm trying to fish through that to get the questions. You're available on Grandine is available through ETH Docker, right? And also on Dapnode, I think.
Yes. It's available on ETH Docker for sure. We actually are using ETH Docker ourselves for that node. Frankly speaking, I'm not sure. We need to double check it, and if it's not, we definitely need to put it there. So that could be an effort from for that part of the effort for the diversity boost grant that we just received.
Yeah, we do these stats asking our CSM operators what they're running, and Dapnode is definitely a favorite. So a lot of
What
people
is the second one after that node?
I think ETH Docker.
Ah, okay. And the third one?
Oh, you're asking me too much.
Maybe
We
there is
publish it.
no third one.
We publish it every quarter, but then I forget until the next one.
Okay. Yeah, you can just drop the link because we definitely want to get on all the, let's say, on all the popular platforms as a minimum.
Oh, great! No, that's perfect. Like the ease of install, I think that's good for home stakers, and you'd be surprised of the machines they're running on. I don't think anybody's seriously running on a Raspberry Pi. That's just a meme, to be honest.
Oh,
People do it
really?
for
People are still running on Raspberry Pi?
No, they don't. They
No?
don't. Like most of them
Okay.
just have these 64 gig NUCs, like brand new out of the box. So they're absolute beasts of machines in tiny packages.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly. I
great.
mean, if a lot of users are using these machines, then well, very likely there is no issue with any client, I believe, because
Yeah.
it's a very powerful machine.
Yeah. Thanks, Solius. I gotta cut you off, but I think it's a great segue to our next and final guest, Sasha. Also very powerful in a small package. If you're ready, please share a screen. And thank you, Solius. Sorry, by the way, cut you off pretty quickly, but it was too interesting. Sasha, you can take it away if you're ready.
Yes, I'm trying to share my screen. Well, it's not going great. Wait a sec. Okay.
Oh, we've had this before.
Yeah, I just was not sure because the preview was wrong. Anyways, hey everyone. So my topic for today is not ValSet updates, as you saw. My topic for today is Identified Community Stakers Framework. And now we're going to figure out what it is and why we even need that. So I guess all of you heard about CSM V2 and its features, but to explain the necessity of the framework we'll see in a minute, we need to step back and remember one of the main features of CSM V2, which is entry gates. So I'll use this picture because it's just adorable and it explains pretty well of what the entry gates are. So in CSM V1, all the node operators were entering the module and still is entering the module because we're still at CSM V1. They're entering the module through the same gate, getting exactly the same conditions for all the node operators. And as with any permissionless protocol, it led to some capacity of CSM being occupied by big players, by big node operators, while, as we all remember, the primary goal for CSM is to bring as many independent stakers as possible. And in CSM V2, the second beautiful picture, in CSM V2, this issue will be addressed with the mechanism of entry gates, which will allow for splitting all the node operators to first permissionless operators and second identified independent or community stakers, as you can see over here. So the technical solution for these entry gates is already developed and is now under audits. But now the question is how we actually identify those independent operators. On this picture, it's pretty obvious, while in real life, it's not that easy. And this is basically the answer to the question why we even need this framework. So this framework aims to introduce a possible assessment system that increases the number of independent stakers by providing them a way to identify themselves. It is a beautiful slide, beautiful minimalistic slide, but this is the gist. So now let's try to understand how we approached the design space for this framework. So before starting thinking of the exact tools that we can use, we tried to think of what should be the requirements of this framework. And here they are. So the framework, in my opinion, should be resistant to sibling and abuse. For sure, it's the main purpose of this framework. It should be transparent to the community so that community members can see and understand how this or that applicant got to the identified community stakers list. People who wish to be included in the list should indicate their interest. And here, if we compare this approach with the early adoption mechanics that we had in CSM version 1, when we just assign this early adoption role to all the addresses that we've identified as as belonged to independent stakers, for ICS, identified community stakers, it will not be the case. So people will need to express their desire to be included in this list by applying to this system. Then the framework should be easy to understand, that's pretty obvious. Then framework should allow for inclusion of people who want to remain anonymous. And this is one of the most important things about this framework, because it is a big concern among community members that this will mean that CSM got KYC'd. So this requirement, this principle says that there should be at least one viable path to people to get into this list without sharing any single piece of their personal information. So this is one of the principles of the framework. Then the framework should support the inclusion of people who are just getting started with Ethereum validation, because, again, as I mentioned before, one of the main purposes of CSM is to bring independent operators, and this might mean that people are just getting started, and these can be a net new operators to Ethereum overall, not only to CSM. So that is why the framework should be open to those people too. Then the framework should respect people's past achievements in broad Ethereum ecosystem. Lido is not the only protocol existing, and it's not the only good product. And people who previously contributed to other projects for Ethereum ecosystem should be recognized for their contribution. And at the end of the day, the framework is developed, first of all, for Lido purposes. That is why the framework should incentivize engagement in the Lido ecosystem. All right, so next up, we are going to the gist of the framework and how it actually can work. So the proposed framework is based on the scoring system, where the score that user can get somewhere here acts as an entry ticket or entry gate to the identified community stakers list, which we have ICS here. So the points inside the score system can be earned by providing address, which contains proof of these 3 different categories that I cannot show you for some reason. Yes, I can. So the scoring system consists of 3 main categories that can help user to get the score within the scoring system. And now let's talk about each of those. So here we have proof of experience, proof of engagement, and proof of humanity. So the system should provide applicants with various ways to prove, again, their experience, their engagement, and their humanity. And this way, if we take a look on proof of experience and what is proposed to be included here, applicants should provide their addresses which are either included in those solo stakers list or have the OBEL technique credential or got verified by SSV as independent operators or participated in CSM testnet or mainnet. All of those sources will have their own amount of score points that users can get if they have this kind of proof. All right, next up we have proof of engagement. And in this category, users need to provide that they somehow engaged and overall interested in this entire topic of Ethereum and Solana staking. And here we have a division into Lido engagement with Lido ecosystem, where the proof of this engagement can be their participation in Lido votings, their Galaxy score, where we issue this POPs or odds, or their meaningful engagement in the conversation that are happening on Discord, research forum, or Twitter. While the broader Ethereum contribution can be recognized by this Git POPs, which means that the person who has this Git POP has contributed to repository of the projects that will be listed as like project that will be recognized for this type of proof. And the last one is the proof of humanity, and probably this is the most scary one, I guess. So here the intent is not to reinvent the wheel, but rather collaborate with a third-party provider that have their own like framework to prove humanity. This platform or this third-party provider should be somewhat like recognized in the Ethereum community, should have obviously a built-in sibling protection, and should issue the proofs that are assigned to Ethereum addresses. And for now, I cannot say for sure, but for now, there is a project that was previously called Gitcoin Passport, now is called Human Passport, that we are currently considering to include as one of the sources for this humanity thing. And as well providing information that can be later on used to contact node operators can bring some scores in this proof of humanity category. All right, now let's try to sum it up. And there is a picture that probably will help you to understand better of what I just showed you. So the gist is that in this system, each applicant should obtain a sufficient score from each category, as well as the sufficient overall score that you can see over here. So each applicant should get a certain amount of points here, and here, and the overall score should be sufficient. And that will be the reason for this applicant to be included into this identified community stakers list. What do I have next? Oh, okay, so next I have the flow, just to quickly show you of how it all can work in real life. So how CSM node operators, or basically anybody in the space, can get this identified community stakers type. So the first step is application. People will need to connect to the CSM widget, which is our main interface for CSM, connect the wallet, then fill in the required data. And by data, we mean that there can be several Ethereum addresses that contain proofs from different types that I mentioned before. Then the contact info, which is also totally optional. Then prove the ownership of both of addresses provided and of contact info provided, and then submit the application. So that is it in terms of the application. After that, we have the validation step, where basically we check that all the data provided is valid, it has not been used in any previous application, and the required score has been achieved. And then, if everything is okay, the application is recorded and marked as approved, And the address provided as the main address in this application will be proposed for inclusion into the next identified community stakers list update, which is happening through the governance process. So basically it will happen in the update of the list will happen in waves. It will be proposed to CSM committee for review, and then CSM committee will be able to start an easy track motion to bring those new addresses to the list on chain. And after that, the small step that will be required from CSM node operators is to go to the UI, to the CSM widget again, and just claim their new node operator type. Beautiful, amazing, quite simple, in my opinion at least. And the main question now is, why would node operators even bother? So the gist is that if this entry gates concept provides an interesting thing that different types of node operators can have different parameters of their participation in CSM. And I am not sure, I'm not sure if you can see all the numbers on this screen, but maybe it's even better. It will encourage you to go and check it out on the research forum using the QR code that I use here. But this is a sneak peek for the future interface of CSM widget, where we will have a new tab, operator type, and here you can see that if you before was just a permissionless operator and you applied for the identified community stakers node operator type, you'll be able to change parameters such as node operator reward, such as bond, such as your opportunity to join, to upload your list through the priority queue, and so on. So basically, this is the main reason why node operators would want to go through to read this framework, to understand it, to get the required amount of points, just because it will make their life better when it comes to CSM. Yes, and the last one is basically next step. So all that I've described just right now is just a proposal that we recently published on the Lido research forum. And as you saw, we do not have the exact numbers of, for example, how many score points the inclusion in the stakers or stakers list will get will bring you. Or what is the minimum requirement for proof of engagement category. So these numbers are not defined yet. They will be soon. They will be soon proposed on the research forum. And basically the next step is to define the actual values, to make some adjustments to the framework if needed based on the feedback received, then to run a snapshot vote to approve the system by the LDO holders, and then some stuff that we will need for the governance process, and basically prepare the interface to start getting submissions. And here the QR code for the proposal that we published on the research forum itself. I think that this is it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I
Sorry,
was
go on.
expecting
Oh my!
Sasha to provide a small segue to my section, but never mind. I just want to capture 2 minutes of your time, guys, at the very end. And those of you who are still with us till the end of the call, you are amazing, first of all. And second, I want to talk about scaling CSM. So as you all know, or probably never heard of it, well, let me remind you. In the original proposal about further scaling CSM, which is a very hot question, CSM has been sitting at 2%, fully allocated for almost 3 months now. In this proposal, 2 conditions were mentioned to increase CSM share from 2% further on. The first one was simple DBT should have all the depositable validators deposited. And the second one was that curated node operator peer 2 should get at least a minimal viable amount of active validators for the professional node operator, which is 1,000. So 2 things had happened since the proposal was published. First of all, as you can see, we have no depositable keys in simple DVT. So simple DVT is fully allocated to the current available capacity, which means that the first condition is met. And the second one, which happened just minutes before the call, peer 2, curated node operator peer 2 have their 1,000 keys activated. And that means that now CSM can move from 2% to 3%. And it will happen right after the scheduled dual governance vote in this month, which is heavily prepared now and which would arguably be the largest release Lido had ever seen. So in July 2025, next month, right in a month from now, CSM share increase from 2% to 3% will be proposed by the DAO, and we would most likely see a lot of new deposits flowing into CSM as soon as the middle of this summer. And that was it for me to wrap up the call and to give you a bit of a pleasant information for your upcoming week. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dima. That's actually great news. That's really hot off the press because I wasn't aware. I got all my screens locked on the community call stuff. That's really cool. Great for peer 2 as well, by the way, that they can get their keys running. So I want to thank everyone for now. I want to apologize because we had a small freeze, and while the entire story of Sasha was very clear, I think you missed the nicest 2 slides, the viewers. So we'll tweet them and we'll share the deck so people can check those out. But they were, I call it the best explainer cartoon of 2025, and that's without exaggeration. So follow our Twitter, what's it called, X, and we'll update you with those slides because they're really nice. I want to thank all our guests, Sasha, Dima, Yuri, Iryna, and Solis, of course, from Grandine. And stay tuned. Next month, we'll have a slightly different pattern to it because we have ECC, so we have to figure out when exactly we're going to be live again. But most likely this will be July, and this is the node operator community call number 30. So stay tuned and thank you everyone for watching.